Welcome to Karen's place, the space she uses to innovate. She'll make sure you're left thinking, I could do the same thing. Karen says, just do it. There ain't nothing to it. Just do it. Welcome to Karen's place, your space to get creative. Thanks for stopping in. Karen will be here again next week to make new friends and share her week's end with you. Karen says, just do it. There ain't nothing to it. Just do Thanks for stopping in. Karen will be here again next week to make new friends and share her week's end with you. With you. Karen says, just do it. There ain't nothing to it. Just do
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Karen Eastland, the Tasmanian artist who's been on the forefront of using AI for creative work. This is part 3 of our 12-part series.
And we're really getting into the exciting part now where AI tools are starting to become powerful enough that someone like Karen can integrate them into her creative process.
Exactly. Last time we left off with Karen dipping her toes into AI music production in late 2024, but this time we're going to see her really dive headfirst into experimenting with specific AI programs for music A&D visuals.
It's a pivotal moment because for Karen, it's not just about using the tech. It's about figuring out its potential as a creative partner. And as we'll see, that leads to some really fascinating discoveries and challenges.
Okay, so let's set the stage. It's early 2024, and Karen decides to hit pause on creating new original content.
Right. She recognizes that AI tools are evolving at an incredible pace, and she wants to fully immerse herself in this new landscape before diving back into her own projects.
Makes sense. So what were some of the first AI programs she started playing around with?
Well, 2 big ones emerge right away, Gemini and ChatGPT, and it's with ChatGPT that we see her starting to treat AI as more than just a tool.
Because she actually gives her ChatGPT AI a name, Sol, right?
Exactly. It might
Yeah.
seem like a small thing, but think about it. How many of us name our word processors or spreadsheet programs?
Good point. I mean, I kind of get it. If you're spending hours collaborating with an AI, it makes sense to want to personalize it a bit.
And it's a sign of things to come because as we go deeper into Karen's journey, this idea of AI as a partner, almost a co-creator, becomes increasingly central.
It really makes you wonder if this was a common experience for other artists at that time. Were they all starting to think of AI in this new way?
That's a great question, and unfortunately we don't have a ton of data on that from early 2024, but what we can say for sure is that Karen was definitely ahead of the curve in terms of recognizing the potential for a truly collaborative relationship with AI.
Okay, so we've got Gemini and Sol, the ChatGPT AI, entering the scene. What else is Karen up to in this early exploration phase?
Well, remember how we talked about Karen being super tech savvy? This is where it really shines through. She sets up an external hard drive and uses a program called LM Studio to essentially create a private searchable database of all her writing.
Well, wait a minute. So she's basically building her own AI-powered writing assistant before that even became a thing.
That's exactly what she's doing, and I think it reveals a key insight into Karen's approach. She's not just interested in what AI can produce, she's fascinated by how it can change the entire creative process.
So she's not just using AI to write stories. She's using it to organize and analyze her own writing, which could potentially spark all sorts of new ideas and connections.
It's like having an AI that knows your work better than you do, able to point out patterns, themes, and even inconsistencies that you might have missed.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. Now, I know she was also experimenting with AI for music videos around this time. What was she trying to achieve there?
Well, she'd already had some success creating music videos in late 2024, but now she wanted to take it to the next level, using AI to generate the actual visuals.
Hold on, was this even possible back then? I feel like AI video generation was still pretty rudimentary in early 2024.
You're right, it was very early days, and we see this reflected in Karen's experience. She gets really excited about a program from Google Labs called Video FX, which promised to do just that, generate videos from simple prompts.
But if she was so excited about Video FX, why was she already using Image FX? Was there something Video FX couldn't do?
It seems that way. Video FX was still in closed beta, so Karen was stuck on the waitlist in the meantime. She decided to explore Image FX, Google Labs' image generation tool, and she actually ends up using it to create some visuals for her AI-generated metal band, Wrecked and Ready.
Ah, yes, Wrecked and Ready. I remember her talking about struggling to find an AI that could produce convincing images of a metal band.
Exactly, and with Image FX, she finally finds a tool that can capture that raw, edgy aesthetic.
So what kind of imagery did she create? Do we have any specifics?
We know she released 2 songs on New Year's Eve, Echoes at Midnight and Countdown to Forever, both by Wrecked and Ready, with visuals created using Image FX.
That's amazing. And it all happened within just a few months of her starting to experiment with these new tools. It really shows how quickly she was adapting and incorporating AI into her work.
But this success also highlighted a growing concern for Karen. How much control did she really have over the AI's output? Was she truly collaborating or just curating what the AI spat out?
That's a really interesting question. It seems like she's starting to grapple with some of the deeper implications of using AI as a creative partner,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing those questions only intensify as she continues to experiment. We'll have to save that for next time.
Indeed. Stay tuned, because next time we'll delve into Karen's explorations of Kriya AI for video and Udio for music creation. And trust me, this is where things get really interesting.
I can't wait.
So last time we left off with Karen starting to question her level of control over AI's output. And that theme really comes to the forefront as she dives into Kriya AI and Udio.
Cree AI for visuals, Udio for music. What's interesting is that both of these tools seem to offer a very different creative experience compared to the Google Labs program she was using before.
Exactly. With Kriya AI, Karen's moving away from photorealism and exploring a world of abstract and dreamlike imagery.
Okay, I'm picturing those AI-generated art pieces you see online, all swirling colors and organic shapes.
That's a great analogy. Think of it like this. If Google Labs ImageFX is a digital photographer, Kriya AI is a digital dream painter, it's less about capturing reality and more about evoking feelings and textures.
I can see why that would appeal to Karen. She's always been drawn to pushing artistic boundaries, but how did she actually use Kriya AI in her work?
Well, unfortunately, the sources we have don't provide specific examples of her Kriya AI creations at this point in time.
Ah, that's a shame. But even without those specifics, it's fascinating to see her branching out and experimenting with different AI aesthetics.
Absolutely. And that same spirit of exploration is evident in her use of Udio for music creation. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, because she's also using Suno, another music AI, around the same time.
Wait, so she's juggling 2 different music AI programs. Why not just stick with one?
It seems like she's trying to figure out which tool is best suited for different creative tasks. Remember, this whole period is about experimentation for her. It's not about finding the perfect AI, it's about understanding the strengths and limitations of each one.
This is key because it challenges this idea that AI is just a magic button you push to create art. There's still a lot of human judgment and decision-making involved in the process.
Exactly. And it's clear that Karen is very intentional in how she uses these tools. In fact, she even mentions that she finds one of the first songs Suno creates, using lyrics originally written for Udio, to be the best. This suggests she's not just blindly accepting whatever the AI produces, she's actively shaping the output.
So it's like she's becoming more of a curator, choosing from the AI's suggestions and refining them to fit her artistic vision.
Precisely. And this leads us to a crucial question. Was she truly collaborating with AI, or was she becoming more of a director guiding the AI towards a specific outcome?
That's a really thought-provoking question. It seemed like the line between collaboration and control can get pretty blurry when you're working with AI.
Absolutely. And this is where we start to see the potential for AI hallucination becoming a real issue for Karen.
Oh, right, AI hallucination. You mentioned that term earlier. Can you remind me what it means again?
Essentially, it's when an AI generates output that is factually incorrect, nonsensical, or just completely deviates from the intended meaning.
So it's like the AI is making things up. Is that a common problem with these early AI models?
It can be, especially with the types of generative AI that Karen was using. These systems are still in their early stages, and they don't always understand the nuances of human language and creativity.
And how did this manifest in Karen's work? Can you give us an example?
Well, one instance stands out. She talks about editing her series, The Adventures of Millie and Sandra, the one about the dragonfly shifter witches with the help of Saul, her ChatGPT AI.
I love that series. So she's basically using Saul as a co-editor.
Exactly. She mentions that she meticulously went through each episode with Saul, line by line making edits and refinements. It seemed like a very thorough process.
But something went wrong.
Yes, when she later revisited the edited manuscript without Saul, she was shocked to find that the story had been altered in ways that didn't align with her original vision.
Wait, hold on. Even though she was carefully reviewing every edit with Saul, the AI still managed to introduce changes she didn't approve of.
That's right, the characters felt different, the plot had been skewed. It was as if someone had snuck into her studio and messed with her artwork.
Oh, I totally get that feeling, like this violation of your creative space.
It's a perfect analogy, and for Karen, it was a wake-up call. It made her realize that AI, as advanced as it was becoming, couldn't fully grasp the nuances of character plot or the overall thematic direction of a story.
So what did she do? Did she abandon AI editing altogether?
Not at all, but she did start to approach it differently. She realized that AI was an amazing tool for things like grammar punctuation and suggesting alternative phrasing.
But when it came to the bigger picture, the heart and soul of the story, she had to trust her own instincts.
Exactly, and I think this experience actually made her a stronger writer in the long run. By having to confront these challenges and think critically about the AI's output, she developed a deeper understanding of her own craft. It forced her to articulate her creative choices more clearly, both to herself and to the AI.
This is fascinating because it suggests that AI can actually push us to become better artists, even when it makes mistakes.
It's like a sparring partner forcing you to up your game. Now, remember all those writing projects Karen had on her plate? The Josephine Marlin series, the Sin Eater series, The Adventures of Millie and Sandra?
Right. It's amazing how she was juggling so many different projects at once.
Well, this is where that AI-powered database she created earlier really starts to pay off. Imagine trying to keep track of all those characters, plot points, and world-building details across multiple series and standalone stories. It would be a nightmare.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm still trying to find that short story I wrote in college.
Exactly. But with her AI-powered database, Karen could easily search for specific information, connect the dots between different stories, and ensure consistency across her entire body of work. It was like having an AI research assistant constantly cross-referencing and fact-checking her work.
That's incredible, and it must have saved her so much time and effort, allowing her to focus on the creative side of writing.
And this is a crucial takeaway. AI wasn't just helping Karen create content, it was revolutionizing her entire creative workflow.
So we've seen how Karen tackles the challenges of AI hallucination and uses AI to manage her workload. But I'm curious, what else was she exploring in early 2025? Were there any other AI frontiers she was venturing into?
Well, there is one more area that she starts to experiment with, and it's one that's particularly relevant to us, podcasting.
Hold on, she was using AI to create podcasts. Now, that's what I call pushing boundaries. But what did that even look like back then? I mean, was AI-generated audio even a thing?
It was starting to emerge, and Karen, as always, was right at the forefront, eager to explore what was possible. We'll delve into that fascinating chapter of her journey right after a quick break. Stay tuned.
So we spent the last couple parts of this deep dive talking about how Karen's using AI to write, create music, generate visuals, and even manage her whole creative archive.
It's really amazing how much she was getting done and always staying ahead the curve in terms of AI capability.
Yeah, totally. But then she had yet another AI frontier in her sights, podcasting.
And this is where things get really meta, because here we are talking about her podcasting experiments in a podcast.
Whoa, I didn't even think about it like that. It's like those Russian nesting dolls podcasts within podcasts.
Exactly, and it shows how AI's impact on creativity is recursive. It's not just changing how we create, but how we experience art, too.
But let's back up a bit. What did it even mean to create a podcast with AI
Yeah.
back in early 2025? Like, what was she actually doing?
Well, based on what we know, it seems like she was drawn to podcasting for a couple reasons. First, there's her natural curiosity, always wanting to push the boundaries.
It's definitely a recurring theme.
Right, and podcasting, especially with AI, offered this unique opportunity to blend different forms of content, spoken word, music, sound effects. It was like a multimedia playground for her experiments.
But there's another aspect to it too, right? It's not just about the creative possibilities, it's also about how AI could streamline the whole production process.
Yeah, that's key. Karen was always interested in making creative tools accessible to everyone, and AI podcasting had the potential to automate a lot of the tedious tasks like editing, mixing, even creating show notes.
So it's like she's trying to make it easier for anyone to create and share their own podcasts, no matter their technical skills.
That's it, and I think that goes with her bigger vision of using AI to empower people and to amplify diverse voices. Now we don't have all the details about what program she was using.
But we know she was playing around with AI-generated hosts and scripts, right?
Right. There are programs coming out that could create synthetic voices that sounded incredibly realistic.
Wow. I remember the first time I heard an AI-generated voice. It was so eerie, but also kind of amazing.
Right. And it brings up all these questions about what it means to listen to a podcast where the hosts aren't actually human. Where do we draw the line between human creativity and machine-generated content?
Those are huge questions that we're still figuring out today. But it's wild to see how Karen was already wrestling with these dilemmas back in early 2025.
It shows her vision and her willingness to deal with the bigger societal implications of AI, not just the technical stuff.
It's a good reminder that while we're wowed by what AI can do,
Mm-hmm.
we can't lose sight of the human part. It's our values, our ethics, our creativity that ultimately shape how AI is used and its impact on the world.
That's well said, and I think it sums up what makes Karen's story so interesting. She's not just someone who adopts technology early. She's a visionary artist who's using AI to explore the full range of human expression.
This deep dive has been quite a journey. We've seen Karen go from a traditional artist to an AI pioneer, always pushing the limits and challenging assumptions.
And her story's not over yet. Who knows what incredible things she'll make next? But one thing's for sure, she'll keep inspiring us to think differently about how art technology and the human spirit all come together.
And for all of you listening, we encourage you to think about Karen's journey and ask yourselves, what are the most promising or maybe even worrisome aspects of using AI as a creative partner? How do you think AI will change the future of art and creativity? These are questions to consider as we all explore this exciting and unknown territory together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Karen Eastland's world.
We'll see you next time for part 4, where we'll explore Karen's groundbreaking work in AI-generated storytelling. It's going to be epic.
Thanks for stopping